Hi everyone, it's Rain here from Rain's Kitchen and Garden. I'm in my garden today and I'm going to give you a little tour. I have some disappointments to share, but I have some good stuff to share too. Why don't I start with the disappointments? In all of these tires, I grew nothing. Absolutely nothing. And in all of my pots, I grew nothing. These tires had cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage, beets. Oh, what else? I tried to grow corn here. I had some herbs growing. There's one lonely little cabbage plant right there. And that's how high it's been the entire summer. It just stalled and it did not grow. My basil's not doing very well either because we've had a lot of rain and I've been so busy, I haven't had time to take care of it. My lettuce beds here, nothing grew. Don't know why. I did have the covers on top of them for a while. I have one little red lettuce growing here, and that's maybe one over here too. That's about it. And this little bed had some herbs in it. You know what happened? The birds got to everything. The critters got to everything. I watched, as I had my coffee in my hand, I watched the birds jumping into these pots and picking the seeds out. I was just like, oh my gosh. So that's a big disappointment, and I've learned a lesson for next year. I might have to cage everything so that the birds can't get at them. This is my onion bed. I think I planted 67 sets of onions. As you can see, the chives are going crazy, which is great. And what happened here, you may ask? It looks like somebody trampled all over my onion bed, and it was the blue jays. I don't understand it. I watched as they all jumped into the onion bed and just started hopping up and down everywhere. It was the weirdest behavior. And I wish I had, taken a video of it to show you, because they ate one of the onions has a flower. All the others have been eaten off, like just ripped off the top or eaten off or something like that. I still have onions in there. There's still onions growing. You see, I've got like a nice red onion growing there. So I don't know how many onions I'll actually have when it's time to harvest them, but I'm going to leave them in the ground as long as possible. These are my tater tires. I planted, what did I plant? Fingerling potatoes in these ones. And, they're not too big. They're starting to kind of turn yellow. No flowers on these, which was weird. Usually I get flowers on them unless the birds ate all those too. But what concerns me is this. See that hole right there? I have holes in all of these tires like that, and I'm very worried that some critter has been going in there and munching on all of my potatoes, and I guess I will find out when it's time to harvest them. Again, a new plan of action for next season. This is my mint bed. It's insanely out of control. Look at all that. My dehydrator is going to be going 24/7. These are the Norland potatoes. They seem to be, I don't see any holes here. And they're starting to wither a little bit. We did have a lot of rain though. Just one of them is turning yellow, but I've got there's holes in them. So there's some critters that are eating the leaves, which is fine. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of harvest I have with the Norland potatoes. And that over there, all those big ferns, that's my asparagus bed. And I actually still have a few, if I can get under the ferns here. You see there? I have some asparagus that's continuing to grow in August, which is really nice. This was a strawberry bed. I left it as is, so that I was hoping that the squirrels would eat the strawberries and leave my other stuff alone, but I guess that didn't happen. So obviously I didn't weed this. It's out of control too. This is pumpkins, sugar pumpkins, and butternut squash. Now this is a disappointment. It looks like I've got some plants growing, but I'm just growing plants. I'm not growing pumpkins or squash because every morning I came out because I used to pollinate them by hand in my last place, and that's how I was able to get a nice crop of pumpkins. All of the flowers were males, and without going into a birds and the bees talk, we need female flowers to create pumpkins and squash. So that's a huge disappointment. Nothing is going to come of that. My garlic is okay. I did have a nice escape harvest, and they're starting to wither up and get brown, so I'll be able to harvest those pretty soon. I only planted 16 of them this year because I actually still have a lot from last year. And my tomatoes decided they were finally coming up. End of August. End of August. I've got a few little yellow flowers here. Just a few. And I'm hoping that September will be a hot month so that I actually have some tomatoes to pick. Now, last but not least, over here, I'll try to go on this side so you don't see my shadow. I'm super pleased with this bed. Check this out. Raspberries. I planted 3 raspberry plants in this bed. First time I've ever planted raspberries, and they're all producing raspberries for the first year. I didn't think they would, but they are. Pretty cool. And as companion plants, I planted turnips. Look at this one. Look how big that is. I'm in the shadow, aren't I? Well, it's very big. Take my word for it. I have a whole bunch of them growing, so I'll be able to harvest the turnips soon too. So that's the garden tour, end of August 2022. Lots of disappointments, but a few nice things happening. This was going to be my test year anyway. I moved here 2 years ago, and the first year I had a huge garden, but I've mentioned before, I had to get a new well drilled, and they went down 350 feet, and a lot of well dust flew up. Mix that with water, and it turns into cement, and it got all over my raised beds, and I lost my entire garden. And last year I was too discouraged to try over, so this year I decided to go whole hog, and I planted every seed I had because I wanted to know what works in this climate, what works in the Maritimes of Canada. My zone is 5B, wanted to know what works in 5B, and it was a big lesson this year. Root vegetables are going gangbusters. They love to grow here. The tomatoes are late, so I may have to think about grow lights for the spring to get them going well without them getting leggy. The raspberries are doing well. I have tons of blueberries, so I've got plenty of fruit. Like I said, the root veggies, turnips, potatoes, onions, garlic, A-okay. I have asparagus, which is great. That was the only bed that didn't get touched by the well dust. So the asparagus came back, and I'm really happy about that because it takes about 3 years before you can start harvesting. This was the first year I harvested about half of the asparagus that I got. And that's about it. I think I might just concentrate on root veggies next year and get some grow lights to try to maybe start some tomatoes earlier. I'm not sure. I hope you enjoyed that little garden tour, my friends. Let me know in the comments what you're up to in your garden. Are you having a good first harvest? It's time. Oh, I wanted to show you one other thing before I go. Look at all of my little saplings. I transplanted all of these little trees from areas around my property, and they are doing amazingly. Look at this one. This one's gorgeous. They're all doing really well. There's more over there on the other side too. I wanted to have like a privacy fence, a natural privacy fence with trees. I've been fertilizing them all summer, and they're really doing well. So that's good news in the garden too. Don't forget to like and subscribe, my friends. I really appreciate it, and I love reading your comments, so please do leave me one. I'll see you next time on Rain's Kitchen and Garden. Bye!